Hello, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you so very, very much for being here. You'll be seeing this on Thursday morning. That means tonight we're all going to be able to see Kamala's acceptance speech. Um, Tuesday night was amazing with the Obamas and the second gentleman, Doug. Eh, Really, really clever, thought-provoking, insightful, uplifting speeches from all of them. And so that's a nice lift, right? I think that the convention is going to have done a great deal to solidify the Democratic Party, to uplift people's energy, to help people focus in on doing what needs to be done to get this election to turn out the way people want it to. So which leads me to think that the more things shift towards the Dems, the more things shift towards people continuing to be incredibly excited about Kamala and Tim Walz. The more that momentum builds, and I have said, and I don't have any reason to think that it's going to change. Is it really does feel like that momentum's going to continue to build as opposed to sort of peak and then sort of level out. It feels like it's just going to keep on building and building as again people come back from the summer and they start to focus in. So the more that happens, and the more you see, the former guy kind of like becoming even more disjointed, you know, making statements and then just sort of leaving them hanging in the air. I mean, this is during his speeches. Um, the more confused he seems to be and incapable, truly, of never mind completing a thought, but like following the thought to the next logical statement. The more anxious people around him must be getting. And they recognize that the very last thing that Trump needs is more focus or attention or bad news when it comes to his, legal matters. So there is supposed to be a sentencing hearing, I believe, on the 18th of September. And this would be in Judge Marchand's court. Now, I ain't no lawyer, but the way I understand it is Trump's lawyers have filed something that basically says if you go ahead with this at this date, we're going to immediately appeal it, pursuant to the whole, Trump has immunity for everything from A to Z. So the question right now is that going to get delayed? Alan Bragg, the prosecutors, DA, have said we defer to the court, which I gather is actually not that unusual. So it's been kind of sitting now on it. So it's now sitting on Marchand's desk, and he has to figure out what it is he's going to do about it. So the question is he going to delay it? What's going to happen with the appeal in Florida? What's going to happen with the Chutkin case? Is that going to go ahead? Is there going to be sort of that evidentiary hearing, or and if so, is that going to take place before the election? So this is the thing, right? The more it looks like Trump is losing ground, the more desperate he becomes with regards to his own freedom. And the more there will be pushes for his lawyers to file whatever outrageous thing that they can file to try to gum up the works, because Trump sees winning the election as his ticket to freedom, freedom and revenge. But the goal right now seems to be to just push everything away so that it doesn't become a focus in the coming weeks and months, because that would really, a trial of any kind or any sort of significant legal, maneuvering is going to um, redirect or refocus people's attention. And right now, Trump is having enough trouble trying to get airtime. I mean, the oxygen around him has been completely depleted because Kamala and Tim are doing what they're doing and they're getting such an amazing result. And frankly, people are exhausted. And it's just really nice to hear good stuff and happy stuff, and polls are doing well and people are really responding and receptive because we've had enough of the other lower vibrational energy. So I want to take a look today just at an overview, a sort of see what we can find out about the Trump's legal cases and how they're likely to unfold. Vanessa and Atlas are around, so if you hear voices, it's probably Vanessa. And if you hear barking, well, it's probably Atlas. Um, so let's get cracking, shall we? Humbly fingers chicken. Here we go. Um, Trump legal trajectory, Trump legal trajectory, Trump legal trajectory. Okay. So, not surprisingly, we're starting off with the Six of Swords, right? So his lawyers, right? The people who's deferring, well, not deferring, he doesn't defer to anybody, but the people who are tasked with following his directives, and his directives is basically keep me out of jail and keep all of this legal nonsense away from me, um, are very busy following, what he wants. And so, again, expect that they're going to do everything in their power to keep the attention off of, legal matters. And frankly, if all that means they have to do, for example, in the Marchand case, is to simply file something and say, listen, we're going to go right after you. So you may as well just delay it right now. Um, that works, right? It takes up the news cycle for a day or 2 days, but then it dissipates and nothing goes on that really um, shifts the focus back to an area that Trump dearly, dearly does not want that focus shifted to. You have the Six of Wands here. And this is almost always read as a victory card. But I don't see the victory. I don't see this as a victory card as much as it is the intention of what they are trying to accomplish. They are trying to accomplish that win so that, Trump is able to wiggle out of his, legal issues. And that right now is their message, right? And in some crazy ways, you know what? Those messages are going to become louder and more verbose and more kind of nutty, because this is sort of almost like a fighting fire with fire situation, right? Where they don't have a whole lot of options, but they have been fairly successful at dragging things out and stretching things out and maneuvering things so that court cases that should have been like completed and settled and resolved None of them are. I mean, you've got the brag thing, but of course you've got that um delay there. So it's just like they've been very successful at doing what they're doing. I think that energetically, they're soon going to find themselves a little bit out in the cold with the Five of Pentacles. They're going to discover that while it may be beneficial for them right now, what's going to happen is that when he does not win the White House, there's going to be a lot of blaming and yelling and whatever, but the reality is this: by the time they go to court, right, by the time all of this stuff works its way towards the court system, what you're going to find is that whatever advantages he thought he had by delaying are actually in many ways going to backfire, because he's no longer going to have the clout that he has now as he's doing this, run for the president. Apparently, one of the commentators basically said, I think it was that Schmidt guy. I think that's who it was. Can't remember his first name. Anyways, he basically said, listen, if Trump doesn't win this election, he's going to file immediately to run for the 2028 election. Which again, right, puts him in that sort of rarefied atmosphere where, you're kind of being mindful of the fact that he's putting himself in sort of an elevated political position. It's, however, not going to do him any good. He's going to find that the results are much less than he wanted, because without the clout, he's just another guy. And worse, he's a guy who has lost his strength. The strength of delaying did not serve him very well, because, the law is coming after him one way or the other. And so anything that gets delayed, and there's a lot of stuff in it, it's very frustrating. I'm flipping over cards here, and you've got the Empress, and you've got the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, and the Queen of Wands sitting here. So again, you've got that strong feminine energy that is, in many ways sort of going to be the undoing of him. So his fortunes continue to change in a downward spiral. And I think that that's something that we have to remember, is that we tend to look at the big picture and say, well, he wins and he wins. But you know what? The thing is, he's not. It's slower than all of us would like to see. But that spiral that downward spiral continues to happen, and more secrets are going to come out. I don't know what in heck there's still left to uncover, but there's going to be more stuff coming out that he doesn't want to come out. And where that's going to put him is in a place of kind of quiet retreat, where he's going to have to reevaluate. So let's ask, because my cards are sort of repeating themselves now. They're basically saying the same thing, which is he has a lot of energy pushing against him. So he's not getting away with the things the way he used to. However, his lawyers are still able to manipulate things in a way that benefits the current desire with regards to Trump. And all that is delay. Just delay everything so that this doesn't blow up before the election, which he still foolishly thinks he's going to win. So, Spirit, I would like you, if you could please give us some clarity and insight into what we can anticipate And I'm going to start with the Florida thing that's up in appeals. Um, I don't know what the timing of that looks like. Certainly, it doesn't feel like it has been accelerated and moving through that appeal system quickly. Um, Although one of the things that we've all learned is that the legal system moves considerably slower than most of us realize or expect. So what's going to happen there? The appeal is going to go through, and it's going to be, resolved in Smith's favor. Okay, so Cannon just throwing out the case and dismissing it is that's going to be it. You had no right to do that. You had no business doing that. And by the way, we're going to slap your hand again because Judge Cannon, you seem to be off living in some different dimension where Clarence Thomas's word is the rule of law. So I see her, she's not there. I'm not sure if she gets sort of removed or somebody finally pulls her aside and says, I suggest before you are really humiliated by being removed, that you find a good way to leave. I'm not sure how that's going to unfold, but I can't find her. She's not there as this thing goes forward. I'm not clear on the timing, which we all know is a really hard thing to do, but it feels as if as we get into the spring of 2025, like February, March time, um, it feels like that's where there's going to be some real movement going forward with that case. And there there's so thank you. There's so much that we don't know yet. There's so much that hasn't come out, that will come out. And that in many ways is going to sort of cement um, Trump's legacy as a traitor, basically. So there will be resolution and there will be significant punishment because that whole thing is not a situation where he can just be given a slap on the hand or some sort of a fine. In many ways that is the case that scares him the most, because some of the other ones he figures he can just get away with getting hit financially, but this one scares him because it's jail time one way or the other. And as of right now, I actually see Trump available. I see Trump in the courtroom. So he is still on US soil. Um, and he is not choosing or is not able to go anywhere. The um the case having to do with business practices, which um is sort of the one that's up in the air right now because of the September, sentencing date. That one, there is no good reason why this thing should fall under any Immunities Act because it happened when he was not president. Yeah, there were some payments made while he was president, but everything else happened prior to. And so it doesn't fall under the immunity category. But sort of the easiest way to get around that is to sort of give a little so you get a lot. That's exactly what they're saying. The judge is going to give a little so he gets a lot back. And I think what that means is that even if they challenge it and it goes up through the system, it's going to move fairly quickly through the system. And ultimately, um, I see significant monetary penalties, which in some way are going to be they're not going to be that easy to be realized, because what I'm being told is that financially he's not going to have the kind of wherewithal to take care of this stuff. I mean, first of all, you got Letitia James, who has attached herself to business properties, right? Trying to settle that claim. And then he likewise has money tied up in trying to settle, other legal situations like the E. Jean Carroll case where he has that big fine. If if what if there is jail time in that case, it's not going to be significant. But you know what? The reality is that 2 days in jail for Trump, frankly, is enough to just give him an aneurysm. All right. So, what else is out there? Um, the Georgia case, that one is going to stay tied up, sort of almost like for the foreseeable future. Um, that is a situation, and I mean, listen, being a what is that called, an armchair quarterback, or a looking at things with more clarity from hindsight. There might have been other ways to handle those cases, and it's interesting because what they're telling me what is had um Bonnie Wills gone after the other defendants first, it would have given Trump a sort of a feeling of, "Phew, escape that," or "I can push that away." But what would have happened is the testimony and the results of um, the verdicts and the sentencing of those others, all 17 or 16 or 15, however many more of them are left, would have cast enough of a negative shadow on Trump that it would have impacted him in a way that, because she wanted to push everything forward at one time, sort of simultaneously, it just got bogged up. So there's that. Um, I know I'm missing one. I know I am missing one. But I guess what I want to say to you overall is that he may think that this is serving him, and frankly, it is serving him in this moment in time. But as things move forward, as they continue to unfold, 25, 26 is going to be very, very difficult for him if he is still around. Um, his health situation seems to be becoming a little bit more precarious, because not only is there this deterioration happening, but this cognitive something, but it's like his physical body is not going to be able to sustain taking the stress of everything that's going on around him, whether it's legal or political. I'm just asking, I just want to find out if at this point, um, the election results are gonna be close enough that it's gonna really be able to get hung up and in terms of certifying results and that kind of thing. And what I'm being told is, um, by and large, no. Even even Georgia, that, really is pushing that envelope already, even they are gonna find that they have, like everything around Trump, they've overstepped. They pushed it so far and too far that it ends up, bouncing back on them. And so it doesn't feel as if there's going to be states where the results are so close that it is a real, like, concern. And so, you know, as the campaigns continue to roll forward and Trump's numbers get worse and people keep leaving his rallies and you see that deterioration and more people are talking about it, physically sustaining it is going to be difficult for him. And once there is that loss, and then all this court stuff, all this legal stuff ramps up again, he he's going to find himself in a very difficult place in terms of his, not only his mental capabilities but his physical abilities. He's also going to discover that countries who he believed were aligned with him, even though they ain't no friends to the state, he's also going to find that those leaders are going to really continue to distance themselves away from him. He is becoming, a boulder around their necks as opposed to a conduit to accomplish some of the things that they wanted to accomplish. So overall, things don't look great. Um, and I think that going forward, even though kind of in the short term, it might be frustrating. I think everybody just sort of needs to back up, take a breath, and keep their eye on the prize. And the prize is that ultimately, karma always gets the last word. And in this case, as of right now, karma is starting to look an awful lot like the US justice system. Okay? Don't forget to put your questions in the comment section for Pendulum Friday tomorrow. Thank you very, very much for being here. Um, until next time, take care and be well. Bye bye.